Have you ever found yourself in this situation? You are sitting in a coffee shop. A few tourists walk in and start a conversation, and their English sounds like a rapid-fire machine gun. You look up and give a polite smile, but your mind goes blank. Then you ask yourself, I have studied English for so many years, so why can I not understand when they speak so fast? Hello, I am Alex, an English instructor with more than 15 years of experience at a university in the United States. Throughout my teaching journey, I have worked with thousands of learners from all over the world. And you know what? Most of them run into the exact problem you are facing right now. Fast-spoken English feels like a powerful current that rushes past before you can grab onto it. Trust me, you are not alone. Because I have seen so many learners stuck in this situation, today I want to share strategies that have been proven in real classrooms. These are not dry little tricks, but lively, practical techniques that have helped my students move from confusion and frustration to confidently keeping pace with native speakers. If you stay with me to the end of this video, I believe fast English will no longer be a fear, but an exciting challenge that you can absolutely conquer. Many people think native speakers intentionally talk fast to make things difficult. That is really not the case. They are not trying to play a prank on you. Everyday English simply works that way. Native speakers do not pronounce each word separately like in a textbook. They tend to glide, so the conversation flows more smoothly and naturally. Let me give you an example. In class, you will hear a clear sentence. What are you doing? But in real life, many people will say, what you doing? Or, what you doing? It sounds like two different languages, does it not? Or the phrase I am going to in the book becomes I am gonna in everyday speech. Small changes like that speed up the conversation and make learners feel like they are being left behind. There is another factor that is just as important: rhythm and intonation. Native speakers do not use the same tone for every word. They choose to stress the important words and rush through the small ones. That is why, if you only focus on each individual word, you will lose the beat. But when you learn to feel the flow, when they press, when they release, you will find it much easier. It is like listening to music. You do not need to hear every single note. What you grasp is the beat and the melody. English works the same way. When you understand the rhythm and how native speakers blend words together, fast English stops being a brick wall and becomes a tune you can move with. Now let us go a little deeper into something many learners overlook: rhythm and intonation. Trust me, if you only focus on hearing every single word, native English will always feel too fast. But if you pay attention to where people stress, rise, and fall, you will open up a whole new world. Here is an example. Take the simple sentence, I did not say he stole the money. If I stress the word I, it means it was not me who said it. Someone else did. If I stress the word stole, the sentence shifts to mean I did not say he stole it. Maybe he borrowed it or took it by mistake. Just one small change in stress, and the meaning of the entire sentence turns. This is exactly why sometimes you hear all the words but still do not get the full meaning. Native speakers also vary their pace. faster or slower depending on the situation. When telling a suspenseful story, they may speed up. When sharing feelings, they slow down and emphasize. If you can catch that rhythm, you will not only hear better, but also feel like you can read their emotions. Here is a small exercise for you. Choose a simple line from a movie, listen many times, and try to say it back, each time stressing a different word. You will notice how the message changes. This exercise helps you grasp the meaning behind the tone and learn the natural rhythm of English. In short, vocabulary and grammar are just the shell. Rhythm and intonation are the soul of communication. Once you can feel them, fast English will no longer be a jumble of noise, but a flowing stream with a beat and a groove that is easy to follow. Now we come to a main culprit that causes many learners pain: connected speech. This is the number one reason fast English seems impossible to catch. When native speakers talk, they do not pause between every word like a robot. Instead, they link words together, drop sounds, and even change sounds. For example, in the book you see "Did you eat yet?" clear and distinct. But in real life it becomes "Didja eat yet?" Same sentence, but you cannot find the familiar did or you, or could you help me becomes could ya help me? At first it is startling, but this is natural communication. In every language, people often blur words to speak more quickly and smoothly. The best way to get used to this is shadowing, listening and repeating like a shadow. You listen to a native sentence, then immediately echo it with the same speed and rhythm. At first, your tongue will trip and you will fall behind. But after a few weeks, your brain will adapt to that seamless stream of sound. The goal is not perfect pronunciation of each word, but training your ears and mouth to work together and catch the sound chunks. Try a quick example now. I will say it slowly. What are you going to do now? Now I will say it fast. What you going to do now? Hear the difference? Repeat with me. What you going to do now? Great. Practice like this every day and you will notice a clear improvement in both listening and speaking speed. Connected speech can feel like a nightmare if you only learn from books. But once you get used to it, real-world English becomes far more predictable and, most importantly, you will no longer feel overwhelmed when native speakers talk fast. To truly get comfortable with fast English, there is a method I require my students to use. It is shadowing. It may sound unusual, but it is one of the most effective ways to improve listening and speaking at the same time. Shadowing is simple. Find a short video or audio clip with native speakers. It can be a movie scene, a short interview, or even a brief news segment. First, listen without subtitles. Do not worry if you do not catch everything. Just get the main idea. Then listen again with subtitles to check how much you caught. After that comes the most important part, imitation. Repeat the exact sentence almost immediately after you hear it, matching the speed, rhythm, and emotion of the native speaker. At the beginning, you will run out of breath, stumble, and mispronounce. Do not get discouraged. That is the muscle building phase. Just like weight training, the first days feel heavy and tiring, but your muscles are getting stronger. With shadowing, every repetition trains your brain and ears to coordinate smoothly. I had a student named Anna from Germany. When she started, she could barely keep up with a short exchange. But after 1 month of consistent shadowing with movie dialogues and practicing with an AI tutor like ChatGPT, Anna improved dramatically. She told me that for the first time in her life, when she met American clients, she could answer right away without translating in her head. That is the power of this method. If you want to make progress, spend at least 10 to 15 minutes each day on shadowing. You do not need a lot, just consistency. After a few weeks, you will hear more sharply, speak more smoothly, and most importantly, feel more confident in conversation. Shadowing will not make you a native speaker overnight, but it is the shortest road to close the gap between you and them. Another reason fast English sounds difficult is contractions, the shortened forms native speakers use every day. The interesting thing is that in textbooks you almost always see full forms, but in real life, very few people speak that way. People like to shorten so speech is faster and more natural, just like how we shorten text messages to save time. For example, most Americans will actually say, "I do not know," as "I don't know," or "let me help you" often becomes "let me help you." Even "I am going to" turns into "I am gonna." See it? By dropping a sound or a word, the whole sentence moves much faster. I once taught a corporate class where one guy always complained, "Alex, when Americans talk, it feels like they skip words." In fact, they are not skipping, they are contracting, which is a natural habit. If you are not familiar with contractions, you will always feel like you are missing a piece of the puzzle. So, if you want to keep up with the pace, you need to get comfortable with these shortened forms. The best way is to listen a lot and jot down contractions that keep appearing. Then practice saying them out loud. For instance, instead of reading "I will," say "I will" as "I'll." Instead of "they are," practice "they are" as "they're." At first it may feel awkward, but once you get the hang of it, something great happens. Real-world English stops being mysterious and becomes familiar and manageable. Even better, when you begin to use contractions in conversation, your speech sounds more natural and relaxed, just like native speakers. Many learners say to me, "Alex, I listen to English, but I cannot catch everything, so I must be bad at it." Here is what I want you to remember. You do not need to understand 100% of the words to be good at English. Even native speakers do not catch every word all the time. They also miss things when someone talks too fast, too quietly, or in a noisy place. Your goal is not to hear every single thing, but to catch the main idea, the focus, and the rhythm of the story. Missing a few words is fine. What matters is that you still understand what the speaker wants to communicate. To train this, I often give my students a very simple practice. Take a 1-minute video or podcast, play it once without subtitles, and focus only on the main idea. Then rewind and focus on just one short sentence. Repeat it many times and try to say it out loud. When you do this, your brain stops panicking about missed words and starts focusing on the overall message. I used this exercise with a group in Germany. At first they were tense because they thought they had to catch everything. After a few weeks, they realised that aiming for the main message made them more relaxed and confident. And interestingly, when the pressure went down, Their ability to catch details went up. So next time you hear someone speak fast and you miss a few words, do not stop and blame yourself. Aim for 70 to 80% to understand and respond. In real communication, the most important thing is not every word, but the big picture and keeping the conversation flowing. Another reason learners feel disappointed is that real-world English is very different from what they saw in textbooks. In class, you usually hear neat, grammatical sentences. But at a coffee shop, an airport, or an international office, everything becomes much messier. People use slang, shorten, reorder phrases, and sometimes do not follow any standard pattern. For example, instead of the proper, "let me get something to eat," people often say the shorter, more natural, "let me grab a bite," or instead of "I am going to leave now," they may say "I am head out." If you only study from books, you will feel overwhelmed by these expressions. But this is the language you will hear every day. How do you get used to it? The answer is, expose yourself to real English. Watch movies, listen to entertainment shows, follow podcasts with natural conversations. At first, you can use subtitles to help, but once you get more comfortable, try turning them off and just listen. You can even use small pockets of time while cooking, walking, or working out to surround your ears with everyday English sounds. I had a student who only listened to serious news. When she chatted with native friends, she could not follow. Once she switched to sitcoms and vlogs, she became familiar with everyday language, and within a few months, her listening improved dramatically. The key here is this. If you want to understand native speakers, do not just study from books. Step into the real world of English, where the language is imperfect, but alive and closest to everyday life. Now let us look at two extremely useful tools for improving fast listening: dictation and chunking. Dictation means you listen to a short audio clip, usually 1 or 2 sentences, and try to write down exactly what you hear. At first, you will notice you often miss small words like to, of, and. That is normal. You can rewind several times and fill in the gaps until you are sure you have it right. This exercise is like using a magnifying glass on the details. It trains your ears not to overlook small sounds you were not used to before. Chunking is different. Instead of hearing separate words, you train yourself to hear in groups. For example, instead of splitting "how are you," you treat the whole line as one unit. Or when someone says, "do you want to go," you will hear it as one quick block, and your brain must recognize that chunk instantly. This way, you do not translate word by word. You process information naturally like a native speaker. I remember a student who said she could hear individual words clearly, but when she put them together, nothing made sense. After practicing chunking, she said she finally started to hear the idea instead of just the sounds. That is the difference. Once your brain learns to process in chunks, your comprehension speed multiplies. If you combine both, dictation for detail and chunking for the big picture, you will see striking progress. One sharpens your ears, the other helps you keep up with the flow. Together, they are the key to ending that overwhelmed feeling when listening to fast English. Here is a powerful but often overlooked secret. Listen and visualize. Instead of translating each word in your head, turn the sentence into images. By doing that, your brain stops getting stuck on grammar and processes information much faster. For example, when someone says, "We grabbed some coffee and headed downtown," you do not need to translate each word. Imagine two friends stepping into a cafe, getting coffee, and walking toward the city centre. Or a longer line like, "She ran out of the house, jumped into the car, and drove off without saying a word." Instead of translating, picture a woman rushing out the door, jumping into a car, and speeding away. See how images arrive faster than any translation. I trained a group of learners in Asia with this method. At first, they tried to memorize every word, so their reactions were slow. When I asked them to close their eyes, listen, and imagine as if watching a movie in their minds, the difference was remarkable. They caught the storyline faster and no longer felt they were lagging. The beauty of this technique is that you can practice any time with just a few minutes a day. Choose a sentence, listen, and build the picture in your head. The more you do it, the more quickly you will understand fast English without silently translating into your first language. There is something I always repeat to my students. Mastering fast English comprehension does not happen overnight. It is a process, and to go the distance you need two things: a steady mindset and patience. I know the frustration of listening and catching only a handful of words. You might blame yourself. I have studied so long and have not improved. In reality, every time you listen, your brain is doing a workout. Every sentence or chunk you catch makes your listening muscles stronger. Think about fitness training. On day one at the gym, you cannot lift heavy weights. You start light, repeat many times, and over time your muscles grow stronger. English is the same. Every listening session is a rep for your brain. The more consistent you are, the clearer the results. There is a practice I love and often recommend. Listen to a sentence, pause, then repeat immediately. This exercise helps you catch the rhythm and trains your patience. Do not expect perfection in a few days. But if you keep at it, you will see real progress after a few weeks. The most important thing is to keep a positive spirit. Instead of getting upset about what you miss, congratulate yourself each time you catch a new chunk. Those small wins are the foundation of your confidence. Believe me, with the right mindset, you will go much farther than you think. Many people assume listening practice is just pressing play and letting sound pass through your ears. In fact, to improve, you need a skill called active listening. That means you do not only hear the sounds, you also notice where the speaker places emphasis, how they express emotion, and which words are truly key. For example, if someone says, "I really do not want to go," what clarifies the meaning is not every single word, but the stress on really. From that tone alone, you know the person is very reluctant, maybe even annoyed. You do not need to analyze a complex sentence. You just need to catch the emphasis to understand the feeling. When you practice, try focusing on a single element for a few minutes. Just listen for whether the speaker sounds happy or sad, excited or tired. Do not worry if you do not understand everything. Emotion, intonation, and emphasis are sometimes more important than vocabulary. I once guided a group to listen to the radio without transcripts. Their only job was to guess whether the speaker sounded cheerful, serious, or tense. The results were surprising. After a few weeks, their ability to grasp the main idea jumped, even though their vocabulary had not increased much. This shows that to understand fast English, you use more than your ears. You also rely on intuition. With active listening, you catch the message even when you miss many words. There is another secret that helps you understand fast English more easily: background knowledge. When you already know a topic, comprehending it in English becomes far easier. Your brain automatically fills in the blanks even if you do not hear every word. For instance, if you care about soccer and regularly follow sports news in your first language, then when you listen to a soccer commentary in English, you will quickly grasp the main idea despite missing details. Or if you like cooking, a food show in English will be far easier to follow than a science lecture you have never studied. I remember a learner who loved crime dramas. When he began practicing, he chose only shows about investigation and crime, his existing interest. As a result, he quickly understood 70 to 80%, and his confidence soared. Later, he expanded into other, more challenging topics. This proves you do not need to listen to everything. Start with familiar areas where you already have basic knowledge. As your ears adapt to the speed and phrasing of that field, you will feel confident tackling tougher subjects. In other words, let your interests and background knowledge lead you. When you enjoy what you are learning, progress comes much faster than forcing yourself. Another technique I love is what I call the echo method. The name says it all. You hear a short sentence and immediately repeat it as quickly as an echo bouncing off a canyon wall. Unlike shadowing, where you follow entire lines or dialogues, the echo method targets lightning-fast reflexes. You have no time to pause or translate. Your only job is to hear and fire back. This programs your ears and mouth to coordinate instantly, like reacting to a ball in sports without thinking. Imagine a native speaker says, "I cannot believe it." Your task is to repeat it right away, keeping the speed, rhythm, and emotion. At first, you will drop a word or two. That is fine. The goal is not perfection, it is quickness. The more you practice, the more you keep up, and eventually you will repeat the entire line accurately. I trained a group to use this method for just a few minutes a day. After 1 month, they were surprised to find their mouth reflexes much faster, and the bonus was improved comprehension. When you train to catch the beat quickly, you are teaching your brain to ride the natural wave of language instead of analysing word by word. If shadowing lays your foundation, the echo method is your speed drill. Combine both, and you will not only hear more clearly, but also respond as naturally as a reflex. Another challenge many learners face is the variety of native accents. Not everyone speaks the same way. Even within one country, pronunciation and intonation can differ a lot. People in New York speak differently from people in California. People in London sound different from people in Scotland. And that is not to mention English from Australia, Canada, or Ireland. This can make you wonder, Why did I study standard English but still not understand other people? The answer is that you have not yet been exposed to enough accent diversity. There is no single standard. Language is rich and shifts by region. What should you do? It is simple. Listen to diverse sources. Do not limit yourself to one accent. Watch films, listen to podcasts, and follow creators from many English-speaking countries. The more you experience, the more easily you adapt. It is like practicing in different pools and currents so later you can swim anywhere. I had a student in France who was great with American accents but struggled in the United Kingdom. We built a routine. Each week she chose a different accent source. After a few months, she could chat comfortably with anyone, no matter where they were from. The message is clear. Do not fear accent differences. Instead of seeing them as barriers, treat them as opportunities to make your ears more flexible. Once you are used to many accents, English opens up to you everywhere in the world. One of the most enjoyable and effective ways to learn is to use movies, television, and music. These are authentic emotional sources that reflect how native speakers actually use English in daily life. When you watch, do not pressure yourself to understand right away. Start with subtitles to get the idea, then rewatch without subtitles to test how well your ears keep up. Here is a tip. Choose a short scene, pause after each line, and repeat. This sharpens your accuracy and improves pronunciation and intonation. If you hear a great phrase, jot it down and try using it in your own conversations. Music is also a fantastic tool. When you sing along to a favourite song, you are not only practicing pronunciation, but also getting used to rhythm and to common reductions like gonna, lemme, and wanna. Singing helps you remember these natural patterns much faster than memorizing from a book. I remember a student who felt hopeless about listening. She combined short sitcoms with singing along to pop songs she loved. After a few months, she not only listened better, but also mimicked natural intonation with confidence. The best part is that you learn while having fun. Instead of pressure, you feel enjoyment. When learning is joyful, progress comes much faster than you expect. We have taken a long journey together, and now it is time to recap the most important ideas. You now know why English sounds so fast. Native speakers link sounds, shorten words, and vary rhythm and intonation. You have learned to use shadowing to build reflexes, dictation to sharpen detail, and chunking to grasp the message faster. You have tried engaging techniques like the echo method, mental visualization, and pausing to repeat so you can strengthen focus. You also know how to use movies, television, and music to learn English in a natural and enjoyable way. You understand that active listening, catching emotion, and leveraging background knowledge help you follow the story, even when you miss many words. Above all, you realize that a positive mindset and patience are the keys to daily progress. Please remember this: understanding fast English is not an inborn talent. It is a trained skill. Every time you catch a new chunk, that is a step forward. Every time you repeat with more confidence, that is a win. So keep practicing, even just a few minutes a day. Do not compare yourself to anyone else. Look back at yesterday and see that today you moved a little further. That is what matters. I also want to hear from you. Among today's methods, which feels easiest to apply? Have you tried shadowing, dictation, or learning with movies and music? Share your experiences or challenges in the comments. Your story might inspire another learner who is watching this video. If you found today's tips helpful, do not forget to like and subscribe to Aurora English Echo so you will not miss upcoming lessons. I am always here to support you on the journey to mastering English. Thank you for staying until the end, and see you in the next video. And remember, every day you listen and practice, you are getting closer to confident communication in English.